Hi, I'm Ashley.
I'm Emily.
And this is our podcast, Someone You Know. So last episode we started Chris Watts. I think this is going to be a 3-parter, so this is going to be part 2. So in part 1, we talked about quite a few things. Chris and Shanann, their relationship was just deteriorating, but Shanann was trying really hard to work on their marriage and he was not. And then he started an affair.
And then there were all kinds of problems with Chris's family, and that kind of solidified him wanting to get out of the relationship and saying that it wasn't going to work out with Shanann.
Which is fine, but figure out a better way.
Right.
Because unfortunately, he ends up murdering them on August 13th, 2018, when she returns from a work trip, and then he kills the girls as well. So where we ended off was that Shanann's best friend, Nicole Atkinson, was worried. She knew about a ultrasound that Shanann had that she didn't, she wasn't responding. She didn't go to the appointment. And Chris was so checked out that he didn't even know that there was an appointment. So that actually helped him get caught. So we're not at that point yet, but basically the police have come to the house. They're starting to bang on the doors and stuff. And Chris arrives from work. It took him forever. He was already 50 minutes away. He didn't say, oh, go ahead and break in to check on my pregnant wife and my kids. And yeah. So he's not very good at his lies. And so he finally arrives and he's just being very slow about getting to the front door and everything, like just not acting how somebody would act if their wife and kids were missing. Like, he obviously already knows what happened because he's in no rush. So
and it's just so crazy to me that he didn't really have a lot of forethought. Like, this was premeditated. He did it on purpose. He planned it, but he didn't think about any of the aftermath. Like, he didn't think about how he would be the number one suspect, obviously.
He thought about everything up until murdering them.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, I'll just figure it out later.
Right.
Like,
that'll just solve all my problems. Don't worry about it.
Oh my gosh.
What a bad man. So, in the initial search, Chris makes sure to note to police that the girls' blankets are gone and they don't ever go anywhere without their blankets. And I think this was kind of an attempt to lead police to think that Shanann took off with the kids and she must have left.
Yeah.
They have their blankets. But Nicole realizes that Shanann's phone is there. And she's like, no, Shanann never goes anywhere without her phone. It's kind of a safety thing, but also, she was in constant contact with her mom and her friends, and she just would not have her phone on her.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting in the police body cam footage of this initial interaction with Chris, you can see the difference between the way Nicole, Shanann's friend, is acting, how she's frantic and concerned, and she's trying to think of anything that she can do to find Shanann and the girls. And Chris's demeanor is totally different. He has no sense of urgency, no sense of alarm, really.
He's trying to play it off.
He's like, oh yeah, I don't know, maybe we should drive around and see where she normally goes. Maybe she's at a friend's house. I don't know.
But has no name for the friend.
Right.
And yeah.
Very suspicious right from the start. And her phone was turned off. Not dead, not out of battery, but turned off, deliberately turned off. And I don't know about you, but I don't know when the last time is that I turn my phone off.
Yeah, except to turn it right back on, to
right.
restart it or something.
Or for an update. But
yeah.
never turn it off and leave it off. That is just not really something that anybody does with their phone, especially somebody who likes to stay connected like Shanann did. So they're upstairs and the cops are looking around and they're trying to ask Chris basic questions. And he's very hesitant about responding. He doesn't really want to give any answers at all, even though his wife and children are missing. Take whatever information you need. And of course, it's a stressful situation and people react differently under stress and under pressure, but it's just a very unusual response that he's having.
Yeah.
And Nicole says, can we check your cameras? Maybe we can see Shanann leaving. And I don't think they had any cameras inside of the house. I think they had that front doorbell camera, right?
Yeah.
So not a very good view. But don't worry, all the neighbors have cameras. And Chris said, well, only if she went out the front door. It wouldn't catch anything else. kind of like he thought about it.
But also, like, wouldn't, if he's trying to put on this guise of being worried, like, wouldn't he be like, oh yeah, let's check it just in case, like, just trying to cover his tracks? I think he's just so caught off guard that he didn't think this would be happening so soon. It's literally less than 24 hours after he killed them. And I don't think he got a lot of sleep that night either, so he's just completely thrown off.
Right. I think he thought he would have way more time to himself, way more time before he had to deal with any of this. And this was in 2018, so, like, technology is a little bit different now than it was then, but, like, all of my neighbors have a Ring cam. Everybody has a camera on the street, and in 2018, I don't think it was quite as prevalent, but still, a lot of people had cameras, and we see that a lot of their neighbors did have cameras, and so you would think the first thing that you would do is ask all of your neighbors, hey, can you check your doorbell cam? Can you see if you caught anything? Like, I'm looking for my wife. You didn't happen to see which way she drove off, did you? Like,
yeah, he's not doing a very good job at covering his tracks at all.
And then the police officer starts asking about Cece and Bella's school. It's a school day. Your first thought would be, well, maybe the kids are at school. Maybe everything is normal. Shanann dropped off the kids. Maybe they're safe at school. And Chris tells them the name of the school, but he doesn't try to call, which everyone thought was very odd, because you would think they might be at school, immediately call the school and check. Like, they will know in 5 seconds if the kids are there.
Yeah, whether it's a yes or a no, you would think that he would call. So it's just, he's acting super suspicious at this time, and I think everybody's starting to side-eye him.
Right. Well, and he doesn't want to call them because he'd called them that morning and said that he was unenrolling the girls from school.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So if he called and said, hey, are the girls in school? They'd be like, you called us 2 hours ago and said you're unenrolling them.
Oh, my gosh.
So he knows that would catch him immediately. So that's why he doesn't want to initiate the call. But everybody notices how odd that is. So the whole time, Chris is just acting super jumpy. His neighbors and the cops are just trying to look around the house, just trying to talk to each other. The cop is on the radio trying to speak to the police station and give them an update. And everything is kind of making Chris very jumpy. That was another red flag for police, that Chris was so jumpy with just them radioing the station. Why would that make you nervous unless you have something to hide, unless you did something that you shouldn't have done?
Yeah.
And the neighbors even commented to police that Chris is not acting like himself, that this is very unusual behavior for him. He's very jumpy, he's very fidgety, like something is definitely off. And it seems like every time anybody brings anything up, like, could they be here? Could they be there? Nicole says, could they have gone to the pool? And Chris is immediately dismissive of it, like, why would they go to the pool? Well, it was summertime. The girls like to swim. Of course, that would be a place that they might go. And he says, well, I don't know. That could be a possibility. I guess I could walk over there. That's so slow. And such a...
I don't know how he thought after this, like, what would happen. They would just be like, oh, Chris is acting weird, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think this just kind of showcases how dumb he is.
Yeah.
Because, like, and not even to be mean, because we are kind of making fun of him, but, like, I just don't think he's a very intelligent person, because I think to him, he was like, oh, no one will ever be able to see through this. This is so clever. They'll just think Shanann took off with the kids. They'll never suspect me. And then immediately they're suspecting him. And I think he's kind of dumbfounded. Like, I was so clever. How are all the fingers pointing to me? Like,
how is this going so wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
I think he kind of can't believe what's happening.
Yeah, but they tend to be worried when a whole family's missing.
Yeah. And another weird thing was that Shanann's ring is still in the house. And Chris just happens to be the one to find it. He walks in their bedroom and then comes out just, holding it on his finger.
I think he was holding it like this. Or I haven't seen the footage, but I read something about it, and he was holding his hand out like a pointer, like a gun, and it was dangling off.
Yeah, I think he's holding it like this.
That's so weird. If your wife is missing, even if you guys are, like, getting divorced, wouldn't you, like, be holding it?
Right, like I feel like that's how you would hold something that's icky.
Yeah,
like, I found it, gross. Not like, oh, here's this precious symbol of our love, like, I found it here. He said in a later interview that he took it off Shanann after he killed her, and he put it on the bedside table to make it look like she was leaving him, like, that's it, taking my ring off, you keep this, and leaving.
That's not enough to cover your tracks, Chris.
Correct. So this is weak.
He tried, but he wasn't very good at it.
So just all of his mannerisms and everything, very suspicious right from the get-go. And I think, like I said, I think that was his very weak attempt of making everybody think that Shanann must have left him. But he didn't think far enough ahead to be like, take her phone, take her wallet, take her purse, like all the things that she would have with her.
Yeah. He's like, oh, they took the baby blankets.
Also, that must be all the kids need.
She left on foot?
Right.
Because her car's there.
Right. And climbed over the back fence because she's got the camera to the front.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's just so stupid.
Then Chris is just like, oh, what? Should I go look for her or something? And he does one of those, like, awkward, uncomfortable smiles. And it's just so weird. Like,
yeah.
Everything he's doing is, like, a big red flag, and everybody is just looking at him, like, just so confused. Like, this is so obvious that you did something.
Mm-hmm.
The cop and Chris go over to the neighbor's house. His name is Nate, right?
I think that's right. I think Nate is the neighbor.
So they go to his house to look at the camera footage, and it's not directly of their home, but it's kind of in the corner, and you can, he says that he sees Chris leaving every morning, like clockwork. It's the same thing every day. Chris's body language at this point is, like, very interesting. He is, like, holding himself and
rocking.
Yeah, he's been rocking, and you can just tell that he's scared. Definitely look at the footage online. I've posted some of it on our TikTok and Instagram at Someone You Know podcast. So this is not even, it's about like 12 hours since he murdered them. So obviously he's freaked out. So the neighbor pulls up the camera footage, and the officer is just asking questions to the neighbor, like, do you record all day? Do you save it? Like, just kind of getting to know the situation. And the officer and Nate, the neighbor, they're faced towards the TV that's showing this footage, but Chris is faced away from it.
Right, yeah, so Chris can't see.
He's faced towards the officer and the neighbor, but he's not looking at it. So suspicious.
Like, right, like he doesn't even care to turn around and look at the camera footage to see if he can see anything.
I think he's just scared that something's going to show up. He's trying to act like everything's not a big deal, but his body language is the opposite. Like I said, he's hugging himself pretty hard, and you can see him start to visibly sweat so much that his sunglasses slip off the top of his head and fall down. You know when you're running, you go running and you get really out of breath, and then you kind of lock your hands and you put it on top of your head to like breathe better? He starts doing that.
Yeah, just constant self-soothing.
Yeah, so he's breathing like he just went running, and they're just standing there. I'm sure a lot of this was just his subconscious and he couldn't control it. And then he starts over-explaining things. He keeps saying, oh, I was putting tools in my truck, but nobody's asking him that, and he keeps saying it over and over. So the neighbor says, if anybody came in or out of this house, I would have caught it, and they're not seeing that. They're just seeing Chris back his truck up to the house and then leave for work in the morning. They've been standing there and they've been talking about the footage. They already kind of looked at it, and so the TV goes black, like it's sleep mode. And then Nate, the neighbor, he starts messing around with the remote, and so the TV comes on to the channel that was playing beforehand. And so this is really interesting. There's a lot of interesting, like, supernatural theories about this. A commercial for American Horror Story comes on, and it shows a baby in a womb on the screen, and Chris looks at it, and then he turns to the officer and says, oh, by the way, she's 15 weeks pregnant. Like, oh, casually, like, my missing wife, and that just reminded him. The other interesting part of this commercial is that, you know how the intro changes a lot to American Horror Story? So then it changes to, like, oil, and there's, like, skulls. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That is so bizarre. That's such a weird coincidence.
Yeah, so there's a lot of theories out there. Some people are saying it's Shanann and the kids from the other side. Like, hello, we're at the oil field. So that's just really crazy. Basically, they're done looking at the footage. They go to leave, and the cop says, you go ahead, Chris, I'm gonna stay back and get Nate's info. So as soon as Chris leaves, the door closes, and Nate goes, he's not acting right at all, and talks about how Chris is like the quietest guy ever. He never talks, and now he's over explaining. I was just putting tools in the truck. saying it over and over, just his weird body language, and you can tell that the neighbor is very suspicious. Yeah, shout out to Nate, the neighbor, and Nicole,
Seriously.
Shanann's best friend. They did an amazing job with this.
Yeah, and there's another interesting thing about the camera footage, I believe from Nate's house, maybe from another one of the neighbors, where it's footage that was taken at nighttime and from a significant distance, and it's just like a ring cam. So the quality isn't super high. Some people believe that you can see not just Chris out in the driveway, but that you also see a skinny woman with a long ponytail that looks just like Nicole, the mistress.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
And her phone pinged near Chris's house that morning, and that was not on her route to work. That would have been like way out of her way. And on top of that, one of their neighbors, who is the sweet little grandma who's obviously like just watching the neighborhood for everyone. Police went like door to door canvassing to see if anybody saw anything, see if anybody saw Shanann and the kids. And she says, well, I did see a suspicious truck this morning. It's a very small silver truck, silver or gray. And she said it looked kind of like Chris's truck, same color, but his truck is much bigger. And she's like, I know his truck. I've seen that truck all the time. But this was a new truck. I've never seen this vehicle before in our neighborhood, and it was parked close by. And so, unsubstantiated, but the theory is that Nicole was more involved. She was at the house. She was helping Chris and coaching him, egging him on the whole time.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell. That's so interesting.
It's just like one of those things, I think, wouldn't be enough to say that she was for sure there, but when you have the ping and the truck and supposedly the person on the footage, I have watched the footage, I don't necessarily see it. I can see how you would see that. It looks like almost like a ghost on the screen, not like a person.
Okay.
But the footage is very low quality. So it's so hard to tell. I saw something a while ago about how evidence can be misleading, talking about like photographic evidence and video evidence, and which surprised me because I was like, well, no, if you see it on the video, of course it's there. Well, even video footage is just a sequence of pictures. So there is still time in between when each picture was taken, so you might not get the full picture. And their example was like a video of someone shooting a gun. And when you watch the video, you would think, oh, they only shot twice. But then in actuality, when you look at the physical evidence and how many bullet casings, they shot 6 times. But it was so fast that the video couldn't catch all those. So maybe it did happen, but the video isn't showing all that, and that's why you see like a blip on the screen, a ghost of a person. She was there, but it was so fast that you couldn't see. Yeah. It's just such an interesting theory to me because, I don't know, there is kind of significant evidence that points to that it could be true.
Well, and just the fact that her phone pinged on the tower near his house, and that might seem like it's not that big of a deal, but she lived 25 minutes away, and there was nothing in that area that would bring her there except for Chris.
Right.
Also,
in the middle of the night.
Yeah, in the middle of the night, and also it's like, was she a part of it, or did it happen? Did he kill Shanann and then he called her maybe,
right.
and then was like, oh, what do I do? And
yeah. Well, and there are phone records that show that they were on the phone together for like 111 minutes that morning.
Yes.
Which is a long phone call.
And I saw
a very long phone call.
When they interviewed her a few days later, she couldn't remember what it was about.
Right. She's like, I don't know. If someone calls me at 4 or 5 in the morning, I'm gonna for sure know what it was about.
That's very suspicious.
Right. And he just doesn't seem like a very chatty person. So
unless he wants to be, I don't.
Right.
Yeah. Because he's very quiet. Everyone always says he's very quiet. He doesn't talk. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And they only had one interview with her, right? With Nicole Kessinger?
I'm not sure. I know they interviewed her at the police station. I think it was over several hours. So.
Okay.
And I think she voluntarily came in.
Yeah. Which that was also interesting.
Right. If my boyfriend got arrested, I don't think I would be like, oh, would you like to talk to me? Or fade into the background.
I don't know, because it could go either way, right? Like, oh, I'm innocent, like, let me help you guys.
Right.
Or it could be the other way,
yeah.
like, let me get ahead of this. It's so interesting. I feel like
it's so hard to know when you're not in that situation or have been in that situation.
Yeah, because everybody reacts differently.
Right.
But I feel like my first thought would be to call. Did she call? I don't think she did. And she just showed up. Because I would call and be like,
hello.
Did my boyfriend really get arrested for this?
Yeah. It's all very bizarre.
Yeah, so many questions.
I agree. Like, I think a lot of her behavior is similar to Chris's in that it's like, I'm doing these things preemptively so that you'll think I'm innocent.
Yeah.
And I think they just never had enough physical evidence to tie her to the crime and to prosecute her, but I don't know.
Also,
I'm very suspicious.
Also, here's a thought. If she was involved, wouldn't Chris flip on her? Because their relationship, like, ended right after this.
Absolutely. That is the big argument against it. Because Chris has even said that they have not ever talked past the day that Shanann and the kids went missing. They called and talked that morning, and then after that, never again. You would think that he would flip on her.
We'll get into it more later, but he's now is saying a bunch of bullshit about, oh, this Jezebel tempted me, and he's getting all religious and stuff and blaming it all on women, and it's not his fault type thing. So if he's going that hard, if she was involved, I would think that he would say that, or I don't know.
Right.
So many questions. But I guess back to where we were in the story. Little tangent. It's so hard not to get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, seriously.
So he's about to do an interview with the news station on his front porch, and a lot
of this footage is in the Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
Which is great. The police cam and then the news footage. This was such an interesting case because we got to see like such a bird's eye view. We got to basically be there for all of these things happening and to see exactly how he was acting, how he was responding. Normally we don't get that kind of access.
Yeah.
So it was very, very interesting. Chris is very jumpy. He's very nervous. He notably is not wearing his wedding ring, which I believe he always wore before, and then he also had a purple bracelet that he wore because Shanann had lupus and was being outwardly supportive of that. So he always had those on, and now they're off as soon as Shanann and the kids are gone.
The day after.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah. Couldn't even wait a full 24 hours.
Yep.
Gotta get this off. And he is still acting so nervous. He's swaying, he's gulping, he's sweating, he's just looking guilty as possible the whole time.
Yep.
Interestingly, he did not call Shanann, Bella, or Celeste by their name until the reporter specifically asked for their name. And he calls them the kids. He's like, and what are their names?
Not even my kids.
Right.
The kids.
Right.
Those kids. I think he said those kids too.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah.
Like.
Very telling.
So gross. How disconnected are you?
Right. And I don't think you accidentally call your kids the kids. You know, it was like a deliberate distancing from them.
Yeah.
On this interview, he doesn't mention that Shanann is pregnant, which I think is just such important information to share. Like, my pregnant wife is missing. the first piece of information that you share. And I feel like, especially for a news interview like this, where normally the intent is to get the public's attention, kind of rally the community to get everybody looking for the missing people. So you want the public as invested as possible, and there's going to be so much more sympathy for a missing pregnant woman, but he doesn't even bring that up. I don't think he even thought about it.
Yeah, I don't think he's thinking a lot.
No. At one point, the reporter asked him, if your wife could see this, what would you say to her? And he just looks down and he doesn't say, I love you. He doesn't say, I'm worried about you. He just says, I just need to see everybody.
So weird. The first thing I would be like is like, babe, I love you. I miss you.
Yeah.
I hope you're okay. Like, if you have him, don't hurt him. You know, like.
Right.
Just so weird. And he's like, oh, I just need to see them.
Right.
Like, yeah. But we're not. It's just so weird.
Right, because the narrative that he's trying to spin is either that Shanann took off with the kids or that somebody has abducted all three of them, 4 with baby Nico.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say, you know, I miss you, I love you, we can work this out, please come back home. He doesn't say, if you have my family, please bring them back to me. You know, we won't press charges and we just want everybody safe back. Those would kind of be normal things that you would hear on those kind of press conferences, and he doesn't say any of the normal things. He tells the reporter that he came home from work and, quote, nothing was here. No one was here. Shanann and the kids weren't here. So it's like they're already objects to him.
Yeah,
they weren't even
disgusting.
He wasn't even seeing them as people. Very disgusting.
Nothing was here.
Yeah.
That's your family and your little babies.
Yeah, and he is the gulping.
It's It's ridiculous.
It's just out of control. Like,
Yeah.
I know we keep mentioning it, but that's just because it was like gulp, 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 gulp.
Yeah.
Gulp, gulp. Like,
and check
There's
out
so
our
much
Instagram or TikTok because I edited the interview like that. And he's just gulp, gulp. Oh.
Yeah, you can see them all together.
Yeah.
He tells the reporter that he doesn't like sleeping at the house anymore because he doesn't like being alone. The house is empty. Nothing about missing his family, nothing about like, I can't sleep in our bed when my wife's not there. I can't fall asleep not knowing where my kids are. None of the things that you would expect to hear.
It's just so weird because he just doesn't like being alone. And like that's his one realization after killing his entire family.
Right.
Oh, it kind of sucks to be alone.
Nothing remorseful, nothing like, I'm so scared for them, I'm so worried about them, I hope they're okay. Like, and I think we see that over and over again in a lot of the interviews that he has given since. It's always about him. It's never thinking about what Shanann and the kids went through. And he's kind of giving the reporter a little bit of the timeline of the day before, and so he tells them that Shanann got back from her work trip. They just greeted quickly because it was 2 a.m. He says that he looked over and saw the kids on the baby monitor, and then, which must have been like a video monitor, and then he went back to sleep, then went to work in the morning. And he tells reporters that now his family is missing. He just wants them back. They were supposed to start school soon, past tense. He says
he's so bad at this.
Right, yeah. And there was even one point where he's like describing Cece, or I think it was Cece. It was one of the kids, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, she liked this," and in past tense, like she's already gone, which she is already gone, but
she's missing.
He's already speaking about her in the past.
Like he knows that she's gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he says over and over again, he dehumanizes and depersonalizes the kids by calling them the kids, those kids. Never Bella, Celeste, Bella and Cece, especially when you're asking everybody to help you search for their children.
Yeah.
You kind of need to know what their names are.
Yeah.
To call their names, physical description. Like, they say if you get separated from your kid in the store, you're supposed to say, I'm looking for I'm looking for a 2-year-old girl.
In
purple dress.
Shirt.
Like,
yeah.
You're supposed to start giving physical descriptions and everything and yelling at the top of your lungs. And it's just so interesting how he speaks about everyone in these interviews because he's not giving anybody anything to work with. Obviously, he did kill them. He knows what happened. But there's just no semblance of him acting like he's worried about his family or is wanting to look for them or wanting to see them again and giving the kind of information that we would expect to hear on a normal interview like this.
Yeah, and he never says their names until he's, prompted to.
Right.
He just says her for Shanann, and then he says those kids, the kids.
Yeah.
Until he's finally prompted to, and then when he is prompted to actually say their names, he's acting weird. He does a big gulp, or looks down. Could you be any more suspicious?
Right. Well, even when they ask him what are the girls' names, he is hesitant to say. He doesn't want to say Bella and Celeste.
He just wants them to be gone.
Right.
Have it over with.
It's annoying or uncomfortable for him to have to say their names.
So that was the morning after they disappear, and that evening of the next day, police are back at the house searching again. Shanann, Nico, Bella, and Cece have been missing for a full day. The police brought in cadaver dogs, and the news crews are outside. They've done the interview with Chris. So at this point, Chris volunteers to talk to the lead investigator, whose name is Graham Coder. He is with the FBI. So they go to the police station and they do this interview. They're dressed normally, not like police, and they're just trying to make him feel comfortable. They're doing the good cop, good cop routine.
Yeah.
So
no bad cop yet.
Yeah.
Everyone's a good cop.
So they're being super nice to him, and they do take his phone, but they just tell him, oh, it's procedure. They're not telling him that they're actually taking it for evidence, and they're being calm in the interview, just acting like, oh, we have to do this, when somebody goes missing. So whenever Chris says something, they just ask him, well, why do you think that? They're just being very nice, and it is difficult to watch them be so nice to him.
Yeah.
But they're doing it for a reason.
Yeah.
They have to do this pretty much all the way up to the end. They throw a little bad cop in there, but for the most part, they're doing the good cop routine because they need him to confess.
Right.
And they need to find the bodies, and then they'll get the rest of the story later, basically.
Yeah, I'm sure every time they have a break or a bathroom break, they leave the room and they're like,
Yeah.
Scream into a pillow a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, can't believe this idiot. Yeah, they did such a good job of making Chris Watts feel like they were sympathetic to him and they understood him and
Yep.
they were on his team.
They very much made him feel like, oh, it's just procedure and we have to do this. So Graham turns his chair towards Chris and tells him, I have to ask you some hard questions. It's odd that you guys had a fight that morning before your family disappeared. It's odd that you asked for a divorce. But he's being very careful with how he asks Chris so that Chris doesn't lawyer up. The whole point of this interview is just to get more information and to see if Chris will slip up or confess. So Chris does slip up a little bit and he says something along the lines of, this is something that I would never do. And this is just really interesting because it's, they don't know for sure that his family is dead yet. So what is this thing that you would never do?
Mm-hmm.
Kill them?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no bodies have been found at this point. It's just suspicion up till now.
Yeah, it's just missing mother and children, and so that catches the FBI's attention for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris just continues to say he doesn't know where they are or what happened, but now he's categorizing the situation as this, meaning that something happened. Now they ask him if he's ever cheated. And he says, no, we've never cheated on each other. Our marriage isn't like that. But remember, the FBI has his phone at this point. They're going through it. And even if you delete things, they don't go away. So I always love this question. Graham, the FBI agent, asks Chris what they should do if they find the person who took his wife and kids, possibly. And Chris tries to find a workaround to that question and says, well, if they're returned home safe, then just life in prison. So Graham asks, well, what if they're hurt? And Chris says, if those kids are hurt, I guess the death penalty. So let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
Those kids, again, not my babies, my kids.
Yeah.
So, and saying, I guess the death penalty. He's just trying to say what they want to hear, but
right.
It's a trick question because, it says a lot about him.
Because they're really asking, what do you think we should do to you?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, go easy on me.
Yeah, exactly. But then if you're like, oh, well, you shouldn't really do anything, then they're like, well, because you did it.
Right.
So
because
they're trying to trick him.
Yeah.
If
you're worried that somebody you love, somebody who's precious to you, is missing, hurt, murdered, I know I would not have any forgiveness for the person I thought did that.
Yeah.
I would, especially, maybe that's something that you can come to after a period of time. But in the initial moments when you're so worried for those people that you care about and you're frantic about trying to find them, you would want them to get the maximum punishment possible. How could you do this to people I love? And that's not his reaction because he's talking about himself.
Yep.
You should just go really easy on me and don't do anything to me.
I guess the death penalty. So they're still trying to keep Chris comfortable. They are kind of done for the day. There's not much else they can do at that point. But he wants Chris to come back tomorrow without getting a lawyer. So he tells Chris, I'm so sorry about the tough, hard questions I had to ask you. It was just protocol, like I have to do my job. Nothing against you, Chris, right? And so, of course, the way that the FBI acted in these videos has got a lot of people talking. We touched on this earlier. It's hard to watch them be so nice to him, but they have the same suspicions as us at this point. They have to do their job in a specific way, because if they come at him super hard, first off, he's going to lawyer up and then not talk to them.
Right, they're going to get nothing.
Yeah, they're just going to get nothing. So they have to be all buddy-buddy. Oh, I'm just doing my job. So sorry, Chris, So it is tough to watch, especially as it progresses, but they had to do what they had to do, and they did a pretty good job. So they suggest to him, come back tomorrow. We need to do a polygraph test. They say just to get it out of the way, another protocol thing. We'll get that out of the way so we can keep searching for your family. And so he agrees.
Right. And I think at this point, part of the reason he agrees is because they have been so nice to him, he's believing everything. He's like, everyone's on my side. Yep. I'm so clever. I'm getting away with this. I've got everybody fooled.
He's like, I was getting nervous there for a minute, but no, they believe me.
Now I can relax.
Yeah.
Polygraph, no problem. So the next day, August 15th, Chris comes back into the station to speak with the FBI again. His wife and children have now been missing for 2 days. So you may know, so at this point, he's coming in to do a polygraph test, like they discussed the previous day. Now you may know that polygraph tests are not 100% accurate. They cannot be used in court, whether it comes up that he's telling the truth or lying. So I think it's more of like a pressure tactic in the interview. They're like, well, we can see on the polygraph that you're not telling us the truth, so we don't believe what you've told us. Do you want to tell us the truth now?
Yep.
And I'm not sure anybody has ever failed a polygraph more spectacularly than Chris did. So Tammy Lee is one of the other people who interviewed him. She's a CBI agent, Colorado Bureau of Investigation. And she's the one in the striped shirt. This is one of the famous interviews, and we posted a clip of it online. So it's Chris, Tammy, and Graham in the room. And Tammy performs the polygraph. And again, even from the beginning of the polygraph, she is very much acting like she's on Chris's side. You know, they believe him.
They're just plain clothes, not their FBI uniforms. They're just trying to make him feel comfortable.
This is just so relaxed and casual. And
we just have to check this off and get this out of the way. And
So they ask him a couple baseline questions just to kind of see what his baseline on the polygraph would be, what truth looks like and what a lie would look like. Then they launch into more difficult questions, and immediately he's lying. I think the only time he told the truth in that interview was when he said his name at the beginning.
Oh my gosh.
So they have a lot of ammo to continue this conversation, but in now a different way, although I still feel like they were much kinder towards him than he deserved. But Graham comes back in, and his demeanor is totally different now that they have the polygraph results. He tells Chris, so now we're getting to see Graham's full FBI persona, which is very intimidating. We love it.
Yeah.
He is just staring daggers into Chris and tapping his pen. And Tammy starts to talk to Chris and tell him about the results of the polygraph, and she tells him, so you lied on the polygraph. We know you lied. We know everything that you've told us is a lie. And Chris just says, okay. There's no argument. I am a liar.
Oh
and Tammy tells him, so let's just talk about the truth now. And despite the polygraph being wildly obvious that Chris was lying the whole time, Chris doubles down. I'm not lying. You know, I told you the truth. And Graham cuts him off. He's not having any more. And he says, stop. We know you were lying. And that was my favorite part.
Yeah. They're on to the good cop, bad cop now.
Right.
Yeah. And Tammy is so good at this. She almost has like a motherly, oh, it's okay. Like, everybody makes mistakes. Like, they're very good at their job.
Very, very good. And like sometimes they even will, you know, like in a semblance of getting Chris to tell them more, kind of badmouth Shanann a little bit, like, well, she must have been difficult, like, you know, and then Chris thinks that they see it from his perspective instead of that they're just
he falls for it so quickly.
Flipping him out. He's unfortunately not very smart.
Yeah. Well, fortunately.
Yeah. Fortunately for us and for Shanann and the kids.
Yeah.
As they absolutely deserve as much justice as they can get.
Yes.
And like you said, Tammy is being very sympathetic with him. She even told him, you know, I know you're a good dad. I know you love your kids. And just really laying it on thick. I'm sure she had to go and throw up after that, but
yeah, I could not do that job.
It would be so hard. Yeah, I would need to go home after that.
Yeah, how do you decompress after that? Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
I think I need to go home for a week.
Yeah, 1 day on, 3 weeks off.
Seriously. But even though now Chris knows that they know that he's lying, he still feels like they're being sympathetic to him, and he all of a sudden blurts out, I cheated on her. And they say, oh, we know. And like I said, they're kind of bad-mouthing Shanann, blaming her for difficulty in the marriage. Maybe she pushed you away. Maybe, you know, giving him kind of all of these outs for like, yeah, that is the legitimate reason that I did these horrible things. They ask Chris, now they're trying to talk more about the murders, and they ask Chris if it was an accident. And they tell him, we can work with you if it was an accident. they're trying baby step by baby step to get him to admit something and then the next thing, you know, because they know that he told them a complete lie in the beginning and they're not getting the full truth yet, but if they can just like tease out pieces of truth, that they can get everything eventually.
Yeah.
And then they mentioned to Chris that, you know, they noticed that he hasn't cried this whole time. Not, you know, when police were initially at his house, not during any of the interviews, not when they're interrogating him, not when Chris is alone in the room. And that is very unusual. And then all of a sudden, Chris starts to cry right then. Oh, that just...
It's not even like a full cry.
Cue,
it's like
cue
a
the
fake
waterworks.
sniffle.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
So Chris is in the police station being interrogated, and police are searching his house and everywhere for Shanann and the girls, but they haven't found anything concrete yet. So they really have to go hard for a confession on Chris. They want him to confess at least partially to what he did, even if he's still lying a bit, just so that he can lead them to the bodies.
Tammy and Graham, they're basically trying to give Chris an out, you know, some way to get out of this, but still confess. You know, like they said, oh, was it an accident? And then they start going and saying, well, maybe Shanann did it. Maybe Shanann hurt the girls and you just couldn't control yourself. You know, like, we understand and anyone would react that way type thing. Just,
which is a classic interview tactic where they'll give
Yeah.
you like a lesser wrong thing that
Yeah.
they're suspicious of, and then you feel more comfortable confessing to the lesser thing,
yeah.
which is just a stepping stone to the full thing.
Yeah, because they're pretty sure that unfortunately something bad happened and
Right.
that they need to find either these girls alive or their bodies. And
Right.
so they're just trying to get to that point, and then they can weed out what is truth, what is not truth a little bit later.
Right. Yeah, because if nothing happened and they ask him, well, maybe it was an accident, like, what do you mean? I didn't do anything to them. They're just gone. I'm so worried about them.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't confess to anything at all unless
Exactly.
you've done something.
Yep. So they're trying to give him that little out, like, oh, maybe Shanann did something to the kids and you accidentally hurt her. And they slide this picture of Bella and Cece in front of him, and they're saying, look at your girls. He's been pretty quiet, you know, he's saying, like, no, that's not the truth throughout the whole thing. But after he sees the picture of Bella and Cece, he says, I want to talk to my dad. Can I talk to my dad? So his dad had flown across the country. I think he was on the East Coast. And was outside, and they've been telling him, you know, you're lying to everybody, you're lying to your dad. So he finally asks to talk to his dad, and he starts to cry a little bit, probably because he knows he's about to confess, and it has nothing to do with his wife or kids being gone.
Right.
It's all about himself. They tell him, of course you can talk to your dad, but just tell your dad what happened. Tell him what happened. And so his dad comes in, Chris tells him, you know, that morning I brought up getting divorced to Shanann. She went crazy. She said, I'm never going to see my kids again. And, you know, I went downstairs, and then later I saw on the baby monitor video that Shanann was smothering one of the kids. So he claims he rushed upstairs, but it was too late and she had smothered them both. So unfortunately, Tammy and Graham still have to pretend like they're still on Chris's side and sympathize with him. And so, of course, Chris's dad is like, oh my God, son, like, what in the world? Like, he's just processing this.
Right.
And
and Chris's family never liked Shanann, so I'm sure that was easy for them to believe that Shanann is the bad guy, and well, what do you know, we didn't like her all this time for a reason.
Yeah, so he basically tells his dad, I see it on the camera, she's upset about the divorce, she smothered them, I went upstairs, I got angry, and I did the same to her.
Yeah.
So then Chris's dad starts, you know, he took a second to process this, and then he goes, okay, maybe we should get a lawyer. And half a second later, the door opens, and Tammy and Graham come back in.
Because they were on the other side of the wall listening.
Yep. So they watched this on video, and I think Tammy's like rubbing his back. She's like, oh, it's okay, you know, we understand. They're sympathizing with him. And so yeah, his parents seem to believe him at this point, but the police know that this is not the full truth. That they just needed him to confess, and now they're going to have him lead them to the bodies, and they can figure it out from there with evidence, things like that.
Right.
So, not only did Chris kill Shanann, but now he's smearing her name too. And finally, Tammy and Graham say, okay, can you repeat what you said to your dad? And he admits to the FBI what he says happened, which is Shanann killed the girls, and then he killed Shanann. And he says that their bodies are at the first job site he went to that day. Shanann was wrapped in their bed sheets, buried in a shallow grave. She had almost no signs of struggle, just finger-shaped bruises around her neck. That leads me to believe that she was unconscious somehow or sleeping, because it takes 2 to 5 minutes to just manually strangulate somebody. And even if you're like depressed and you want to die or something, like your instincts kick in.
Right, your fight or
you
flight.
fight back. Yeah. So it doesn't make any sense. I think she had to be asleep, or I wonder if he drugged her or something, because I don't know if they ever tested her for that, but remember he had slipped her some kind of drug, an Oxycontin, trying to get her to have a miscarriage. So, I mean, he's already drugged her before. Did he do it again?
Right.
But also she's exhausted. She just got off a long flight. She's pregnant. Like, she's probably sleeping heavily, and he got in there, and then before she kind of woke up, and yeah. So I don't think she was awake. So
and I don't think he was the kind of person who would have been able to have that confrontation anyway.
Oh,
like
for
there's
sure
just
not.
no way.
Yeah.
If he couldn't have any difficult conversation previously, there's no way he had that conversation.
Yeah, he could never talk to her about anything, and so I think he snuck up on her and did that. And so then he tells the FBI that Cece and Bella were in separate oil tanks next to each other at his job site. And I think we talked about the hole to the oil tanks was only 8 inches wide, which is not very big. And so Cece was smaller, so she fit in a little bit easier. But Bella had obvious scratches on her body, and she also had a tuft of hair ripped from her head from being shoved in. And they asked him too. They asked him, did you have to they say it in a nice way, did you have to maneuver to get them in? You know, they don't say, oh, did you have to shove them in? And he's like, oh no, they went in fine. It's like, so dumb.
One, just so awful to have done that to your precious babies.
Yeah. Disgusting. Cece looked like she had not fought back, but Bella had fought back. From what we know, which one was... Did she watch Cece die?
Bella watched Cece die, yeah. So not only did she have to watch what happened to her sister, but she knew what was going to happen to her.
Yeah, so that's probably why she fought back.
Yeah. And how absolutely terrifying.
Very terrifying. A father is supposed to protect you and not be the perpetrator. And I'm going to add in a clip here of Bella singing this song about how her daddy is a hero. It is so sad.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me want to cry. And it's, for her age, it's not super complicated, but somebody had to practice that with her.
Right, yeah.
And so Shanann, being a good wife, like, oh, let's surprise daddy, and she had to have practiced that with her.
I think so, yeah.
My daddy is a hero. He helps me grow up strong. He helped me snuggle too. He reads me books. He ties my shoes. If you're a hero, blue and blue, my daddy, I love you.
Well, like, of course those little girls are gonna love him and idolize him.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't deserve any of that love or admiration.
Yeah. So at this point, the FBI, they don't ask Chris the obvious, like, if Shanann killed them and then you killed her, why did you get rid of the bodies? Like,
right.
Why didn't you, call the police or something? But that's because they know that this is a lie, and they're very sure that he killed them all.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to secure the evidence of the bodies, so they're still trying to get a little bit more information out of him. So 69 hours after Shanann goes missing, Chris is officially arrested for the murders of his 4 family members, his wife Shanann, their daughters Bella and Celeste, and their unborn son Nico.
So while Chris is in the police station and this interview is going on, the FBI is searching his home. Everything is happening very, very quickly. The police notice that the sheets have been stripped from the bed in the master bedroom, but they're not in the wash. There are a couple pieces from the bed in the trash, like maybe a pillowcase or something, but the rest of the bed set is missing. The police even have cadaver dogs. They didn't pick up on anything in the house, possibly because it was such a short amount of time that Shanann was in the house while she was dead before Chris got her out of there. Cadaver dogs are trained to detect not death itself, but volatile organic compounds, VOCs, released during decomposition. Those compounds begin producing very soon after death, but detection can be affected by the amount of time the body was in that location, cleaning, and air ventilation.
And this happened so fast.
It was so fast.
I think he killed her and then immediately loaded her and went to the
right, which is why
website.
I think he killed the girls at the oil site, because he was trying to hurry and get out of the house so fast.
Yep.
So on the neighbor's surveillance camera, Chris was seen backing up his truck into the garage for a bit and then driving away from the house at 5:27 a.m. All of the clues are just coming together just as Chris is getting ready to confess, which I think this part is so funny. They used the GPS on his truck to track where he went.
He did not think
so
of anything.
Dumb.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we love a dumb criminal, but this is spectacular. So they look at the GPS tracker and they see that Chris went to his work site. He was a field coordinator at the gas site and they searched there. They fly a drone over the area and they spot the bed sheet that matched the set that was in the trash at his house. Like where he buried Shanann, there was a piece of sheet hanging out
flapping
in the wind.
Yeah.
Like not a little corner, a big piece if it was flapping. So they were able to find Shanann that way and then found Bella and Cece in the oil tank. We have so much more to talk about Chris Watts. So this one is going to be a 3-parter.
This is part 2.
Yes. Thanks for being patient with us as we get all the information out. We love to know all the answers to all of our questions, and we hope you do too.
Yes. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, stalking, or harassment, there are organizations that can help. If you're in the United States, you can call or text the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-SAFE. That's 800-799-7233. We'll include those links in the show notes and on our Instagram and TikTok, where you can follow us at Someone You Know Podcast. You can also email us case suggestions at someoneyouknowpodcast@gmail.com. And remember to
Stay safe, trust your instincts, and remember, it could be someone you know.